Hey, I didn't see you there. Crying? Me? Crying? No, I wasn't crying. I was peeing from my eyes. It's an old Native American technique I've been trying to save some time. Alright, you caught me. Yeah, I was crying. I'm just a little down on the dumps right now. Nothing has been going my way lately. For starters, I lost the big promotion at work, then the cute girl I was talking to completely ghosted me, and worst of all, the diner that I love to go to stopped serving Coke in favor of Pepsi. Now that should be considered a war crime. You know, I'm starting to think that maybe I should have forwarded that chain email back in 2009, but I thought it was just a bunch of baloney. But here I am. Ever since then, I've been real unlucky. I think that's it. I think I've just been a little unlucky lately. I need to find myself some luck. And what's luckier than little people? I mean leprechauns. That's right, today on my never-ending journey into the depths of Tubi, I'm watching a little film called A Very Unlucky Leprechaun. Bit of an oxymoron if you ask me, kinda like a sad clown or a good politician. A Very Unlucky Leprechaun is a 1998 made-for-TV movie about... well, an unlucky leprechaun. What are you expecting? Some kind of deep meaning? This ain't Requiem for a Dream, pal. If you're looking for high art, you're in the wrong place. Now, what makes this movie interesting to me is that it stars Warwick Davis, who was in another famous Leprechaun movie series. You might have heard of it. Leprechaun? That's right. This movie was actually filmed in between Leprechaun 4 in space and Leprechaun in the Hood. Which seems crazy to me that in between these two train wrecks, Warwick Davis made this... Trainwreck. But before we get into watching the movie, I'd like to know how your luck's been lately. Got any good news you'd like to share? Well, tell me about it in the comments down below. Have you got a new job? Have you moved into a new place? Are you getting engaged? Just rub it in my face, why don't ya?
Starring Tim Matheson.
Honey, I was so worried about you.
Stephanie and Danielle Lombardi.
I've never been lucky before.
And Willow's Warwick Davis as A Very Unlucky Leprechaun.
As a leprechaun, I'm a loser.
New Concord. Hey, is that a rainbow? What is this, a gay movie?
So the film opens with a young girl named Molly and her father named Howard, who are moving from Chicago to a new home in Ireland. Now, unfortunately for our two protagonists, their old home in Chicago got foreclosed upon, so they're moving to a castle in Ireland that was left to Howard by his dear old Uncle Sean. Also, Molly's mom is dead. Dead uncle, dead mom, lost house. This poor little lady's been dealt quite the hand. Now, old Howard here is an author of a series of how-to books titled How to Howard, which is a good name in my opinion, better than mine. I'm never gonna get jacking it with Johnny off the ground.
Oh God, sheep are in the road! Watch out, sheep! Oh God!
On the way to their Newcastle home, something darts across the road, causing the car to stop. And we get some hilarious sped-up footage of Warwick Davis running through the woods, which might be the best part of this movie.
Ah! Little bastard's fast, ain't he?
And this is probably the perfect time to mention that Molly's acting in this movie is... not great. Even for a child actor. Like, kids are typically bad actors, but this goes beyond bad. This is terroristic at best. Then I found out in the credits that Molly is actually played by two different girls, and I kind of feel vindicated. See, I kept feeling like she was changing from scene to scene, but I didn't want to say anything and be wrong. I'm already wrong enough. I can't really be throwing those out there for free now, can I?
Dad, this I didn't just fall down. It was knocked down.
This girl looks like a puppet. Are we sure this girl isn't AI? Is this movie AI? Was this the first AI movie? 30 years before Grok?
So they get to the castle, which is colloquially known as Misfortune Manor, because everyone who's ever lived there has been cursed with bad luck. Even though Howard's dead Uncle Sean lived well into his 90s. Which sounds pretty lucky in my opinion. With everything going on in the world right now, I'm gonna be lucky to see 40. Next year. So they meet the groundskeeper of the castle, Mr. Mulligan, who says he's been hunting a leprechaun that lives on the property for the past 60 years. Really? 60 years? Now that sounds like a bad hunter. I don't know anything about leprechauns, but I feel like if you give me a week, a harpoon gun, and some amphetamines, I'll bring you its little orange head in a bag.
Can we go inside now?
Well, of course you can, Miss Molly.
Follow me.
Can we go inside and see if we have toothpaste? Do they have toothpaste in Ireland?
Now, I forgot to mention that Mr. Mulligan is a drunk, cause it's Ireland, and everyone over there is a drunk, according to American television. And I can't tell if this guy is the best actor in the world, or if he's actually drunk. Maybe he's been doing a little bit of method acting, if you know what I'm saying.
He lives in the wishing well in the courtyard.
Is this guy really drunk? He lives in what's that thing called? The old fucking... That guy's prime age to run for president. Get this man a VP nomination. Stat.
So Mr. Mulligan says that the leprechaun lives in a well on the far side of the property. So Molly goes over there and throws a penny down the well. Then later that night, the leprechaun brings the penny back and lays it on her pillow. And they just show Warwick Davis like outright, completely. No build-up, no mystery, no nothing, just here's a leprechaun. This could have been done way better. Like, she could be asleep in her bed, and then we hear the window open, and then we hear the creaking of floors, and we just hear everything. We don't see it. And then she wakes up the next morning with the penny laying there. You're not supposed to show the magical creature so fast. You're just shooting your load without any kind of foreplay. Who likes that? Also, Molly falls asleep to her dad reading her a book on the couch, and then she gets carried to her bedroom, and I just have to mention that that was the best as a kid. Am I right, guys? I honestly don't feel like I've had a solid night's sleep since. You know how much easier my life would be if I had like an 8-foot-tall caretaker who would feed me and take me to bed? Preferably a goth girl with giant...
Ireland doesn't have basic cable? Why are we reading books like it's the Stone Age? Turn on some f***ing SpongeBob, Dad.
The next day, we meet Mayor McCready, who has come by to collect a debt owed to him by Howard's late Uncle Sean. According to Mayor McCready, Howard now owes him £13,000, which for my American viewers at home, that translates to around 250,000 Big Mac meals. And if Howard doesn't pay the debt, then Mayor McCready will take ownership of the castle and bulldoze it and use the land for some kind of mall or something. You know, basic real estate villain shit.
£13,000.
13,000 pounds. It's funny that people talk like that in real life. 13,000 pounds.
So Molly goes to her first day of school in Ireland, and I'm sorry for my Midwestern ignorance, but is everything built out of stone over there? It looks like they're in the goddamn 16th century.
Are schools really made out of bricks over there in Ireland? What's going on? Is it the fucking 16th century over there? God, that's a fat boy. I'm sorry.
At the school, we meet the mayor's two sons, Eric and Derek. Real creative names there, Mayor. Are those biblical? And this is one of the fattest kids I've ever seen. I'm sorry for saying that. It's just fascinating to me. I didn't know food was that available over there. So Eric and Derek start picking on Molly, because Tubby over here doesn't have very many days left carrying around that kind of weight, so might as well make the most of it. She defends herself, which lands her in hot water with Principal O'Boyle, who is romantically involved with the mayor, so she obviously takes the side of Eric and Derek. God damn, the mayor must have some kind of magic fingers to pull a baddie like that. Woo! Molly comes home and talks to Mr. Mulligan about what happened at school, and he tells her that she needs some luck, so she might try and take a stab at finding that leprechaun.
Miss Molly, is school finished early?
Hi, Miss Molly. I don't know what the hell this guy's saying.
So Molly goes looking for the leprechaun and immediately finds him hiding in a fridge. Talk about rubbing some dirt in old Mr. Mulligan's face. He's been hunting this bastard for 60 years, and you find him in your first 24 hours? Okay, bitch. We watch as Molly chases the leprechaun around the property, and I'm sorry, but the sight of Warwick Davis running around has sent me into stitches. It's very funny. They could make an entire movie of him running around, and I'd probably watch it.
He's so fast. I'm gonna get that her on a football team. Why isn't there a little person sports league? Make like an NFL but for little people? They couldn't play on like a regular sized field because they'd get all tuckered out after a little bit, but...
Molly finally catches the leprechaun, and he takes her to the location of his pot of gold. But while she's distracted, the leprechaun escapes and buries Molly in a pile of bricks, knocking her unconscious. Bit of a dick move in my opinion, but he can't just let her have his Lucky Charms that easily. So Molly is rescued by this random woman named Sharon, who just so happens to be on the property drawing the castle. Do they not have private property in Ireland? If someone tried to do this in the United States, they'd get an involuntary lead transplant within 5 seconds of stepping foot on the grass. Also, Sharon just so happens to be an American and a fan of Howard's books. What a coincidence! Man, I wish it was this easy to meet attractive women. I don't know how many more times I can get turned down by a baddie. It's starting to kill me inside. While Molly is resting in bed, the leprechaun returns and formally introduces himself as Lucky the Leprechaun. Really? Lucky the Leprechaun? Guess this guy's parents weren't too creative. Do leprechauns have sex to procreate? Lucky shows Molly the rules to being a leprechaun, and it's just simple things like only kids with an active imagination can see him, you know, stuff like that. But then he drops an insane piece of lore. According to Lucky, every leprechaun aspires to enter the land of leprechauns, and the only way they can go is if a human takes their pot of gold. That's right, these fuckers have developed religion.
Gee, I didn't know being a leprechaun was so complicated.
Oh, you don't know the half of it. Now,
half of it? Because he's a half?
What's it say?
Never mind.
The next day at school, Lucky's trying to give Molly a new good luck charm, and he's showing her simple stuff like a rabbit's foot, horseshoes, and a dream catcher, which immediately stopped me in my tracks, because why would an Irish leprechaun have a Native American dream catcher? Does that imply the existence of immigration in the leprechaun community? Because if it does, they better get a handle on that before it's too late. All the good leprechaun jobs going to the illegal leprechaun immigrants, it's a nightmare. So Eric and Derek see Molly seemingly talking to herself, you know, having a schizo moment, so they go over there to bully her, like a good bully does. Somehow, a food fight gets started, which leads to the principal getting pelted with food, which leads to Molly getting in trouble again. But trust me, if you know the mayor, then that's not the only cream she's getting covered in tonight. Haha, sex. After school, Lucky takes Molly to his secret hideout to continue to find a lucky charm. And that's never a good look in my opinion. A grown adult taking a child to their secret hideout? Oh, there was a famous New York financier who did the same thing, and it didn't end well for him. So the next charm that Lucky tries is a 6-legged starfish, which I've literally never heard of before. Is this from some kind of culture that I'm disrespecting? I don't know. All I know is that it looks really gross. It looks like it's got a big old labia just in the middle of it. But the starfish escapes and runs down the street, which is really funny because it's just like rolling from end to end, and we get more footage of Warwick Davis running, which is a sight for sore eyes. And while chasing the starfish, Molly accidentally runs into the mayor on a construction site, sending him into a bunch of wet concrete and breaking his arm. Oh no, a broken arm? Well, now how is he supposed to pleasure Principal O'Boyle? You know, one of these, and one of these, and one of... So Sharon just so happens to be an interior designer, and she offers to decorate the castle for free. She does the living room, or the living room equivalent to a castle. I'm not sure if those have living rooms, and it looks pretty good. But question, where did you get all this stuff? Did you steal this? Are you a leprechaun? A lot of unanswered questions going on in this movie. Later that night, Lucky says that he finally found the perfect good luck charm for Molly, a shooting star. Now, I'm no astronomer, but I'm pretty sure that that's not what a star looks like. That looks like a pool ball on fentanyl. Also, he just puts it in her hands. Surely, if that thing's a real shooting star, it's scorching hot. But of course, since it's a shooting star, it does what it does best. Shoot! And it goes downstairs and just starts destroying all the stuff that Sharon did for Howard, and then Howard comes down and's like, what happened? And all Sharon can say is, the leprechaun did it. Now, I'm not a father, but at what point do you take your child in for a psychological evaluation? I mean, this goes beyond just basic acting out. In one day, she threw food at the principal, broke the mayor's arm, and destroyed the living room. I'd be calling a psychiatrist and a Catholic priest just to cover all my bases. So the next day, Mr. Mulligan tells Molly that a leprechaun has to eat a 4-leafed clover every 100 years or else they'll run out of luck. What? How do you know this? Listen, no offense, man, but you seem a little overqualified to be a groundskeeper. You need to get a hold of Zach Baggins. He would love to have you on ghost adventures with that kind of knowledge. Lucky comes clean to Molly and says that he hasn't had a 4-leafed clover in over 100 years, so they decide to find one together. Also, during this scene, Lucky just creates like a whole dinner set, complete with a maitre d' and menus and a table. So he can do all that, but he can't clean the mess made by the shooting star, or catch the starfish, or just create a 4-leafed clover. Man, this lore is all over the place. Molly and Lucky look all over the property for a 4-leafed clover, but can't find one, so they decide to grow one, which should take around 4 weeks.
Do you really think this'll work?
We're gonna grow marijuana, smoke it, and then all of our troubles will go away.
While waiting for the clover to grow, Molly decides that she's going to enter in the annual go-kart race, where the winner gets 5,000 pounds, which for my American viewers is around 19,350 oxycodone at street value. Molly finds an old go-kart in the barn and tries to get her dad to help her fix it up, but he's too distracted by Sharon, so he just gives her a book and sends her on her way.
Molly, don't interrupt. Now,
Molly, go away. Daddy's trying to get some pussy.
Molly gets the go-kart running and decides to take it out for a spin, showing it off to the McGreedy boys, who just so happen to win the race every year. I smell a little bit of corruption. While Molly is showing them her new go-kart, one of them cuts the brakes, which causes her to careen downhill, which is a little too far in my opinion. How did we go from food fights to attempted manslaughter?
No, the starfish. You can see the string.
Molly speeds all the way back home and crashes into the barn, almost running over Sharon, and then her dad runs out and pretends like she doesn't even exist. He's immediately like, "Oh my God, Sharon, are you okay?" Dude, well, what are you doing? Your daughter almost just died, and you're worried about Sharon. Sharon starts to feel bad about overtaking Molly's time with her father, so she's the one that tells Howard that he should be spending more time with his daughter.
You need to make time just for Molly.
Oh, shocker. A parent should spend time with their kid? Breaking news. Has CNN heard about this? Get a hold of the president.
So now that Howard figured out that he's supposed to be in his daughter's life, they fix the go-kart up together, and Sharon paints it, officially calling it the Rainbow Racer, which is... They go to the race, and during this part, all I could think about is how funny it would be if she just, like, crashed into one of the stone walls. I know that's terrible, but she would go down in history as the Dale Earnhardt of Irish go-kart racing. We could wear little hats with the Rainbow Racer on them, you know? Long live Molly. I don't think they do the fist, actually. I shouldn't do that. During the course of the race, the McGreedy boys continuously cheat by, like, running people off the road and whatnot, and they even throw a sticky bomb at Molly, which causes her wheels to get stuck to the ground. And again, these boys are very quickly going from grade school bullies to domestic terrorists. But then Lucky shows up and causes her go-kart to fly, which is fucking terrifying. I kept imagining how funny it would be if she just kept going up into the sky and up and up and up and over the tree lines, and then boop, just gone, never to be seen again.
Whoa, look at him go!
So Molly lands right behind the McGreedy boys and then overtakes first place, winning the go-kart race. But at the podium, Principal O'Boyle shows up and says that Molly cheated because she wasn't seen at one of the checkpoints, meaning that she must have taken a shortcut. thus giving the win to those damn McGreedy boys. Nepotism at its finest. Back at home, Molly randomly goes off on her dad and Sharon, which feels really out of character because this whole movie, she's just been like a nice, sweet kid, and now all of a sudden she's pulling the, well, you're not my mom card, which, hey, sweetie, I get it. Your mom's dead, though, so you might as well take what you can get.
I don't need you to stick up for me.
Damn, bitch!
You're not my mother just because you painted my go-kart.
No, you're right, Mom.
Damn!
Howard then breaks the news to Molly that he's planning on marrying Sharon and moving into her place. Didn't you guys just meet like a month ago? Really not wasting any time, are you? You probably haven't even seen her poop. You gotta see her poop before you put a ring on it. What if she's dropping gross little Lincoln logs? Molly finds Lucky and goes off on him too, saying that this is all your fault and that she never wants to see him again. Man, this little maniac's on quite the little rampage, isn't she? They need to get her checked for BPD, because this is crazy. So Molly and Howard prepare to leave their castle home, packing up all their stuff, including the Rainbow Racer.
Not the Rainbow Racer. Why does it have a German flag on the front of it? Well, hold on now. What's that all about, Molly? She wins the award. She's like, I'm doing this one for mein Führer. You know why we really moved to Ireland? It wasn't because we inherited a castle. It's because there's no Jewish people here.
Right as the mayor's about to start demolishing the castle, Molly runs back in to grab the four-leafed clover, and Howard just doesn't notice because, again, I don't think this guy gives a fuck about his kid.
I can't bear to watch this.
This guy is the worst dad ever. He's like, come here, baby, let's get out of here. Kid? What kid? I don't have a kid.
Molly goes into her bedroom, and right as she's about to grab the clover, a wrecking ball comes through her window, and that'd be a really sick way to end the movie, you know? She just gets hit by the wrecking ball, fade to black, credits roll. She then wakes up to her father reading her a fairy tale, and we find out that she's been sleeping since she was knocked out by the bricks while getting the pot of gold, all the way back in the beginning, meaning that this has all been a dream. And while she was unconscious, her father decided to write a new kind of story, a fairy tale about a young girl named Molly meeting a very unlucky leprechaun named Lucky. But then here's where it gets really confusing. Everything else that happened in the movie just happens again without Lucky. Howard meets Sharon and they fall in love. Molly fixes up the go-kart and she wins the race and doesn't get disqualified, even though the only reason she won the race was because Lucky was there to help her fly. How did she get around the sticky bombs if Lucky wasn't there? None of this is making any goddamn sense. Listen, I'm trying not to overanalyze because at the end of the day, it's just a shitty made-for-TV kids movie, but it feels like the writer had an aneurysm towards the end of the script and they didn't know how to finish the story. So she wins the race, but unfortunately, it's not enough money to pay off the entire debt. The mayor is about to destroy their home, but this time a mailman shows up with a letter from Howard's publisher saying they want to buy his Leprechaun book and giving him enough money to finish the payments to the mayor. But Howard is confused because he said that he never sent in his Leprechaun story, and then Molly looks up at him and is like, well, I know who did, Dad. And she goes and she finds Lucky. She finds Lucky. So the leprechaun is real, even though everything that happened involving him was a part of a dream. I'm starting to get a headache. Molly thanks him for everything, even though he didn't really do anything. Then right as he's about to go back down the well, Mr. Mulligan shows up and finally catches him after 60 years of hunting. Dedicated little fucker he is. I can't even play a game that's more than 20 hours. Lucky gives Mr. Mulligan his pot of gold, and Mr. Mulligan says that he's going to split it with Molly's family. Now make sure you get that in writing, sweetie, because when he sobers up, he's probably not going to remember this. And then Lucky finally ascends into the land of leprechauns, and before the credits roll, we get some more funny green screen footage of Warwick Davis, which is, again, the best part of this movie. And that's it for A Very Unlucky Leprechaun, a mediocre movie if there ever was one, and quite the wet fart of an ending. But let's talk about some positives. Well, one positive, Warwick Davis. No matter what film this guy stars in, he always gives it his all. 100%, never phones it in, and never takes a day off. And you've got to commend a guy for that. If I was working on a movie like this, I'd barely look up from the script. I'd probably have the lines written on my hand like, "You need to catch me if you want my pot of gold. Molly." Can I go home now? Other than that, there's really nothing positive to say about this film. This is Tubi's trash at its finest. Sponsor me, Tubi. I love the app. The writing is so weak. Like, there are so many small stories that just get completely forgotten until the script feels like they need to bring it back up again. This movie has the short-term memory of an Alzheimer's patient. And no offense to anyone with Alzheimer's, but hey, between you and me, your family's stealing from your bank account. You need to stop them. None of the characters are fleshed out, and the characters that are fleshed out are terrible. Take, for example, Howard. As a father, he's closer to the dad from The Black Phone than he is to Danny from Full House. He just seems so absent and doesn't care about anything his daughter is doing. To establish him as a loving father, you need these small moments of him saying like, you know, "Hey, I love you, kiddo. Have a good day. I'm proud of you." But instead, he's too focused on getting a tiny sip of snatch, which as a man, I can't blame him, but as a father, he just doesn't have that paternal trait. And I think that's all I have to say about this movie. So if you stuck around to the end of the video, then thank you. Seriously, from the bottom of my heart, it means more than you'll ever know. Drop a like if you'd like. Subscribe if you want to see some more terrible Tubi reviews. And drop a few recommendations if you have them. I'm actually keeping a list now, so get your ideas in there. And you know, I think I learned something from this movie. Luck doesn't come from some kind of magical creature. It doesn't come from a leprechaun, or a rabbit's foot, or a starfish with pussy lips. Luck is just an ethereal explanation for why some things go right for some people, but go wrong for others. Luck doesn't matter. You can't control luck. What matters is what you put out into the universe. Hard work, dedication, love, and most importantly, not eating stuff in the break room that doesn't belong to you. I've got you on camera, Sandra. You're getting fired. We gotta get little people back in movies, man. I don't know what's up with all these CGI dwarves, but as someone who's not a little person, it feels wrong. Warwick Davis is a fucking legend, man, and deserves every role he can get. Hell, make him the next Batman. Give him a little Batmobile, some tiny batarangs. Instead of the typical deep Batman voice, it could be all high-pitched like, "I'm Justice." I'd love it.